This technique consists of taking one picture where you are sitting on a stool and then taking another picture where the stool and yourself are not in the frame. You're going to want to make sure that you're taking them in manual mode with manual focus, manual white balance as well. Both exposures have the same settings. I was sitting here, I added the shadow later down here, and I was just standing on the stool, and then I erased the stool later. A portable flash with an umbrella, a white shoot-through umbrella attached to it. And my brother was holding it to the left of me, but I just erased him later in Photoshop. And the stool was below me, and there was no problems with the shadows with that because the stool was right below me. And I was on a little stepping stool. I've even used basketballs before where I had both my hands on two different basketballs, so my feet were on the stepping stool, so it looked like I was doing like a push-up in midair or something like that. Let's start out with this example, and we can see that this picture has shadows on the wall. So the first thing you're going to want to do is drag and drop two photos into the same Photoshop document. You can see here that I have two layers. I have the background layer, which is just your scene without you or the stool in it, and then I have another picture with the stool and also me sitting on it. I'm going to grab the quick selection tool right here, quickly make a selection. Alright, that's a quick, good enough selection. Make sure that the layer is selected here, and then click the layer mask button. Now that makes it so that it's just this is showing up in the layer. My nose right here, the selection kind of got chopped off. Click on the layer mask here and grab the brush tool, and we're just going to fill this area in with white to reveal everything there. I'm just going to make a quick selection at the top of my body just to make sure that we have everything in there. But the bottom I'm going to leave as is, and this is why. You can see that my arm and kind of my fingers are more kind of jaggedy. That's what the selection looks like. In order to fix that, you would just want to go in here with the pen tool, make a quick selection, and then fill that selection in with black, and you could then smoothen up your arm or whatever you wanted to do. Rotating. Now we're going to make it look like we're floating. So we are going to duplicate this background layer, because just in case we mess up, we will have this backup copy right here. So right now let's click on the top layer and let's grab the burn tool. And we're going to select the midtones, and we're going to keep the exposure on 48%. And for right now we're going to have protect tones on. So we got a soft brush, we got a big pretty decent brush size. So now we're just going to burn in the shadows. We're going to go back to the original, look at it, and we can see that there's a line here, and then the shadow just kind of goes down like this, and then there's a big blotch. So let's turn that layer off, go back to the background layer, and draw in a shadow just like that using the burn tool. And then going to do that same thing where we make that big blotch, and just like that. And then we can go back to the original, and we can see that it's a little bit darker. So we're just going to make this darker, just like that. And if you go back, it looks pretty much the same, except this should be a little bit darker, but it really doesn't need to be that dark. But hey, we might as well make it that dark. Just want to keep going back and forth until it looks good. This one, I can see there was a little shadow right here, and that's basically it. So we basically copied the shadow there, and it looks just like it would have. So that's that. That's how you make a levitation picture, including shadows. Now, if it's a really simple levitation photo where your arm isn't going in front of the stool and there's no shadows or anything, you can just bypass making that selection with the quick selection tool. You don't even have to do that. All you got to do is select the layer with the stool, create a layer mask on it, grab a black brush, and make sure the size and the hardness are appropriate. And then all you gotta do is paint in black over the stool on the layer mask. Make sure the layer mask is selected. And now when you get up close, you'll just want to reduce the size significantly and increase the hardness. And then that will just give us the option to get in here. And then there you go. Now you'll see it might be kind of rough somewhere, so what we can do is decrease the hardness, increase the size, and just go over it one more time right below just to soften everything up. And now we're going to show you how to make yourself look like you are way up in the sky if you want to. It's kind of required that you can jump over a horizon. Make a selection. I'm just going to grab the quick select tool, and I'm just going to select my body here. So we have our selection. Now let's duplicate the layer, press Control X, cut myself out of the frame. And now when we press Control V, it's going to paste myself back in. And we can now move this way up here if we wanted to. But how do we fill in that hole? So we're going to Alt click, and then we're going to click again in this area. And you can see that I'm just filling in that space with the same color. It's going to want to Alt click several times just to get that all filled in. And that is looking pretty good. So now check this out. Look at it. It looks like I'm floating. It looks like I'm just jumping and flying way up here. And I can place this anywhere I want. And it looks pretty realistic. And you can place it anywhere you want. I like placing it just right about there, so it still has that hint of realism. But it still looks like he's jumping really high to begin with. And after that, you can go to Layer, Flatten Image, OK. And then one other thing that's kind of cool that you can do is warp the entire image. So we can select the whole thing and then press Control T, right click, and then press warp right here. And what I like to do is kind of with horizon pictures, sometimes I just like to drag and drop the edges of the photograph down, and it kind of makes it look like it's a fisheye photo. So I'm just going to do that right now. There we go. Press enter to apply that, and bam, it looks like a fish. It looks like a world kind of, or a fisheye photo, however you want to look at it. And also we could crop it to a square if we so desired. So that's how you do levitation photography. Have fun with that. It's one of my favorite techniques, and it's also one that is actually very aesthetic and also kind of shocking when you show someone this.